She strolled in like she'd just come back from the grocery store, not like she'd vanished for 4 days with some guy she swore up and down was just a buddy. Her duffel hit the floor, keys landed in the bowl, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Hey babe, we're out of oat milk. Can you pick some up?" Oat milk. That was her grand return. No hug. No kiss. Just oat milk. That guy Lucas, the one she'd gone hiking with in Arizona. Yeah, the same Lucas she once joked would rather date Harry Styles than look twice at her. Turns out the joke was on me. I was frozen in the kitchen, spatula still in my hand like it might defend me somehow. I hadn't eaten all day. Couldn't bring myself to. Something inside had been gnawing at me since she left, and I already knew. I didn't need a confession. This wasn't about trails or yoga or finding herself. This trip was about pulling further away from me. She walked past without so much as glancing up from her phone. Her thumbs moved like they were in a race, texting someone else who clearly held more of her focus than I did. I called her name once. Then again. The third time, she let out this heavy sigh and muttered, "What?" like I was annoying her. I asked how Arizona was. She said it was life-changing. That she had some sort of spiritual awakening doing sunrise meditation on a rock. Bell Rock, I think she said. I wanted to ask if the awakening happened before or after Lucas had his hands all over her. But I bit my tongue. She climbed the stairs to shower and left her phone on the counter, face down. Unlocked. Just sitting there, wide open like an invitation. For a long minute, I stood there, hearing the water run, heart pounding, and thought, this is it. This is the exact second where the life I knew ends. I've never been the type to go through someone's messages. I always thought that kind of thing came from insecurity. But this felt different. She didn't even bother locking it. Like she wanted me to know. So I picked it up. First message from Lucas said, "Still thinking about last night. You're dangerous, Maddie." I'm hooked. Dangerous. Hooked. I kept scrolling, photos, flirty texts, inside jokes. Him calling her his wild secret. Her telling him she wished she didn't have to come back. That home didn't feel like home anymore. That one hit me in the gut. It doesn't leave you, reading those words from someone you thought had your back. Someone you built a life with. She wasn't torn. She wasn't hiding guilt. She was already gone. I was just the shell of a man standing in a home she'd emotionally vacated long ago. When she came back downstairs, her hair was wet, towel wrapped around her like nothing had happened. She caught me standing there, her phone in hand. We locked eyes. She didn't panic. Didn't apologize. Didn't even blink. Instead she said, "Wow. You went through my phone." Like I was the one who crossed a line. Her voice was cold. Flat. I told her, "You said he was gay." She rolled her eyes. Like I was being ridiculous. "People change," she said, with this detached shrug that made me want to scream. Something inside me broke right then. Not in an explosive way, but in this quiet tragic crack, like a dam giving way. I asked her how long this had been going on. She shrugged again. "I don't know, a few months? Maybe more." Then, as if she couldn't be bothered, she added, "What do you want me to say?" I wanted her to deny it. To cry. To fight for us. But she didn't do any of that. She just picked up her phone and walked toward the bedroom, tossing out one last gem over her shoulder. "If you're gonna make this into a whole thing, maybe you need to figure your own stuff out." She closed the door. Not a slam. Just a soft click. But that sound, that was the Real goodbye. Not the plane to Sedona. That click. That was when Madison left me for good. For 2 hours, that door stayed shut. I sat on the bar stool in the kitchen, staring at the carpet where her bag had dented it. That's the thing about shock, it doesn't hit all at once. It seeps in, slow like water soaking into floorboards. Warping everything quietly. Eventually, she came back out. Hair dry, fresh clothes, lip gloss. Looking like someone who had just enjoyed a great nap, not someone who'd just detonated a marriage. I asked, "So that's it? That's all you've got to say?" She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "What do you want from me, Drew? You've already made me the bad guy." I wanted her to beg. To explain. Instead, she acted like I'd cornered her unfairly. I laughed, but it was dry and bitter. You cheated on me, and you're mad because I found out? She rolled her eyes again. You've been distant. You stopped trying. I felt like I didn't even matter anymore. There it was. The classic deflection. She couldn't take responsibility, so she blamed me. Said I was the one who drifted away. But I remember making dinner. Planning little getaways. Trying to talk while she scrolled TikToks like I was invisible. I was still there when she stopped caring. I was the one who tried. Even when she started putting on lipstick just to run errands. When she started smiling at her phone more than at anything I said. I noticed it all. Every change, every shift. But I didn't want to believe it meant something deeper. I told myself it was just stress or boredom, or one of those phases couples go through. But now I see it for what it was. She was already pulling away. I just refused to watch her go. I asked her again, this time firmer, how long, Madison? How long has this been going on? She met my eyes like it didn't even matter. 7 months, maybe 8. Who cares? It was the way she said it. Not even the words, but the delivery, so casual, so brutal. Like I was asking about the weather, not our marriage. I didn't expect the honesty. Or the cruelty. It was like she wanted to stab me and twist the knife. Then she added, you think I planned this? It just happened. Lucas saw me. You stopped. I stood up. Voice shaking. You lied to me. Every day. You came home from being with him and kissed me like nothing happened. You looked me in the eye and told me he was gay. She smirked. Actually smirked. Honestly, I'm surprised you bought that so easily. I figured you'd at least push back a little. But you didn't. That's how bored you were with me, Drew. You didn't even care enough to ask questions. And that one, God, that one hit different. Because she wasn't completely wrong. I had ignored signs. I had let little red flags slide, convinced myself I was just being paranoid. I asked her one last thing. The only question I hadn't dared say out loud yet. Do you love him? She didn't answer. Didn't even look down. She looked away. And that silence gave me the answer. I told her to pack her things. She didn't argue. Didn't cry. She just nodded, went upstairs, and began folding clothes like she was getting ready for a weekend trip. Grabbed her laptop. Zipped her bags. Walked past me like I was an old roommate. And then she paused at the door, looked over her shoulder and said, I'll text you about the mail. Then she was gone. No speech. No drama. Just the sound of the door closing and the emptiness that followed. I stood there, staring at the space where her keys used to hang. The house was too quiet. It felt like someone had come through and sucked all the air out of the place. That night dragged on like it was daring me to survive it. I walked through the house like a ghost. Her toothbrush was still in the holder. Her slippers still beside the couch. That candle she always lit when it rained, half burned, still sitting on the coffee table. I sat on the edge of the bed, looking at her side, and realized I didn't even remember how to fall asleep without her next to me. Not because I missed her warmth, but because even her absence was louder than her presence had been. I didn't cry right away. I didn't even feel sad yet. It was something worse. Numbness. But then later that night, I opened our shared photo drive. The one with all our memories. Vacations. Selfies. Little moments from when things felt real. There she was, laughing on the beach in California. Hugging me tight at that amusement park in Ohio. Pressing her face into my chest like I was her home. And I sat there wondering, was she already gone in those photos? Was she already slipping away while I was busy holding on? Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Hey, I didn't think she'd actually leave tonight. I'm sorry you had to find out like this. Lucas. That was it. That's all he said. Like he was a friend breaking the news, not the guy sleeping with my wife for the better part of a year. I didn't respond. Didn't block him either. I just stared at the screen until it went dark. My hands were shaking again. But not out of surprise. Because deep down, I'd already known. Then, no joke, not 10 minutes later, another text came in. This time from Madison. Please don't be dramatic about this. We'll figure things out. You just need time. Don't do anything rash, okay? Dramatic. That's what she called it. Learning that your wife had been cheating, lying to your face, and walking out like it was no big deal, that was being dramatic. I wanted to throw my phone. Shatter it. But I didn't. I needed it. I needed something to hold on to. Some part of me still hadn't let go. Instead, I went back through our texts from before. All her I love yous. Her little heart emojis. That one night when she wrote, "I feel like we're finally in sync again." God. It made me physically sick to look at. By morning, I was done. Not in anger. Just finished. I started boxing up her stuff. Not in a rage. In silence. Precision. Folded her clothes neatly. Packed her books. Collected her yoga gear, her candles, even the chipped mug she claimed had character. By 8 a.m., the house felt hollow. Like she'd never been there at all. At 9, she texted again. "I can swing by tonight or tomorrow to grab my stuff. Whatever's easier." I sent back one line. "It's on the porch. Don't knock." She didn't respond. But that night, I watched from the window as she pulled up in Lucas's car. He stayed leaning against the driver's side door, sunglasses on, smirking like they'd just won something. She didn't look up. Just took her boxes and left. And for the first time in weeks, the air inside the house didn't feel heavy. Not good. But clean. I still didn't sleep. But I didn't cry either. I just sat there in the stillness, learning how to breathe again. The weirdest part was where the grief hit me. Not in bed. Not when she walked out. But in the damn grocery store. I was standing in front of a wall of almond milk, unsweetened vanilla, original, oat blends, and I just froze. For the life of me, I couldn't remember which one she used to buy. It used to be second nature. I'd grab it without thinking. But now? It didn't matter anymore. There was no grocery list from her waiting in my texts. No "Hey babe, don't forget the oat milk." No more quiet judgment when I brought home the wrong one. That was over. All of it. So I left the cart. Walked straight out without buying a thing. That whole week felt like I was dragging myself through mud. I did all the basic stuff. Went to work, replied to a few texts from friends who heard something happened. Everyone asked the same thing, "You okay?" I said yes. What else do you say? How do you even explain it? My wife of 6 years left me for a guy she met at a hiking meetup. Lied to my face for nearly a year. Drove off in his silver Subaru like she was just late for a brunch date. Yeah, I'm fine. 3 days after she left, her sister called. Nicole. Madison hadn't told her anything. She asked, "Hey, Maddie's not answering my messages. Is everything okay?" I paused. Then told her the truth. Not every detail. Just enough. She cheated. We're done. Nicole was quiet on the other end. Then she finally said, "I knew something was up." She changed. I thought she was just growing or evolving or whatever, but I guess not. Evolving. Sure. That same afternoon, I got a Venmo notification. Madison sent me $85. Caption said, "Groceries plus that candle I liked." Like it was a tab she was settling at some restaurant. I stared at that stupid caption longer than I care to admit. She couldn't help herself, still had to throw in a little jab, a reminder that she was the one calling the shots now. That night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged Lucas. I only wrote 4 words. "She's all yours now." Blocked him after that. Never wanted to hear from him again. He didn't reply anyway. Of course not. Why would he? He already had what he wanted. But now, I'm not so sure he knew what he was really getting. Because the Madison he met wasn't the girl I fell in love with in college. That version of her, vibrant, curious, wild in a good way, she'd been fading for a while. Slowly. Quietly. Replaced piece by someone colder. Someone who wore affection like an accessory. Who took it off when it stopped being convenient. Lucas didn't steal my wife. He inherited what was left of her. And something tells me, he might end up regretting that. A couple nights later, she texted again. No hi. No lead in. Just, "Do you think we'll ever talk again?" Not like, as a couple. Just as people. I didn't respond. Because here's the thing. You don't burn a house down and then ask to sit by the fireplace. You don't get to come back from that. Later that week, I was doing laundry, trying to erase the little bits of her still clinging to this place. Sheets, pillowcases, the works. When I pulled them out of the dryer, I caught a faint trace of her old perfume. That warm vanilla scent she used to love. It hit me like a punch to the gut. Clung to the fabric like a memory I couldn't scrub out. And right there, I dropped to my knees. No sound. No drama. Just collapsed, fists full of cotton, sobbing like I couldn't hold myself up anymore. That was the real breakdown. Not when she left. Not even when I found the messages. It was in the smell of a scent that had no business being there anymore. Not grief. Not exactly. It was humiliation. Shame. This deep hollow ache that clawed at my ribs. I stayed on that floor a long time, thinking about all the nights she came home from being with him. How she'd crawl into our bed, back turned to me, breathing steady like nothing was wrong. How she'd laugh the next day when I asked if everything was okay. She once told me I made her feel safe. Turns out what she really wanted was the illusion of safety. Something steady in the background while she chased excitement. Lucas was chaos. And she always had a soft spot for chaos. I was the backup plan. The life insurance policy. The guy who'd always be there. Until I wasn't. And that's the part that really broke me, not just the betrayal. The realization that she saw me as a fallback. Not a partner. Not a husband. Just the guy who kept the fridge full while she chased danger. You don't really see the cracks until you look back with clear eyes. And once you start tracing the lies, they're everywhere. Like rot in the walls you didn't know existed. There was this time, maybe 8 months ago, when Madison came back from a wellness retreat. She walked through the door and headed straight for the shower. Didn't take off her coat. Didn't stop to talk. Just mumbled something about hiking near a waterfall and feeling gross. Now I know. That wasn't sweat. And it damn sure wasn't a hike. Then there was the night she left her Apple Watch charging in the kitchen. She forgot to silence the notifications. I saw a calendar entry pop up, Sunset Drive, 6 p.m. I asked her what it was. She said it was a solo reflection night. She even laughed and said the emojis were just her being cute with herself. Cute. Right. She wasn't being cute with herself. She was being cute with him. It wrecks you, realizing your marriage was basically an improv performance. All those sweet words, the affection, the I'm just tired excuses, they were rehearsed. Choreographed. Meant to keep me from asking too many questions. You think those realizations make you stronger. They don't. Not at first. They make you smaller. You start questioning everything. Every memory feels suspicious. Even the good ones feel like they're hiding something. I called my best friend that night. Ryan. He's known both of us since college. I hadn't told him yet. Just said, she's gone. She left me. He was quiet for a second, then asked, for someone else? I said yeah. Told him everything. How I found out, how she didn't cry, didn't apologize, didn't even try to fix it. He didn't hit me with the usual "you'll be okay" line. He just said, man. I never liked her. Didn't want to say it before, but I always felt like you loved her more than she loved you. That hit hard. Because deep down, I knew he was right. I just didn't want to believe it. A week after she left, the dreams started. Not nightmares. Worse. The kind where nothing's wrong. The ones where she's still mine. We're eating Chinese on the couch. She's laughing at some dumb reality show. Her feet are in my lap. The apartment feels like home. Then I'd wake up. Hand outstretched toward her side of the bed. Cold sheets. That kind of grief, where your own brain betrays you, that's a special kind of hell. Reality would always catch up though. And reality has teeth. Later that weekend, her sister Nicole stopped by. Said she had some mail Madison forgot to forward. She lingered at the door for a second, looked me over, and asked, "You okay?" I must have looked rough. I hadn't shaved in days. Probably hadn't eaten anything but toast. I said, "She lied to everybody, didn't she?" Nicole paused, then nodded. I think she started lying to herself first. After that, it got easy. Before she left, she looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, Drew. For real. You didn't deserve this." And no, I didn't. But that didn't make it hurt any less. Then came the photo. The one that kicked me into an entirely different kind of spiral. It was a mutual friend who sent it, one of those people who floats between social circles. No caption, just the screenshot. It was Madison. In Sedona. Laughing. Sitting on a red rock, golden hour light all over her face. And she was wearing my hoodie. The old gray one she used to steal when I was away on work trips. Now she was wearing it with him. The caption read, "Grateful for people who bring peace to your soul." Peace. She called that peace. And that was the moment something shifted in me. Not like a bomb going off, more like a fuse going dead. It didn't hurt the same way after that. It still stung, yeah. But it stopped feeling personal. Because I finally saw the truth. This wasn't about me. Madison wasn't chasing love. She was running from her own boredom. Her own emptiness. I could have been anyone. I was the one who gave her structure. Who stocked the fridge. Who listened when she said she had a hard day. But that wasn't enough. She wanted the thrill again. The instability. The high of someone who didn't know the real her yet. Lucas was just the next distraction. That same day, I opened a new bank account. Took my name off the joint one. Started closing all those little portals that still connected us. I didn't want to see her purchases anymore. Didn't want to know she was buying candles for their new place or craft beers they'd probably drink while laughing at people like me. I cleaned out the closet, too. Packed everything of hers away. Except one thing. That hoodie. The one from the photo. The one she wore with him. I left it on the shelf. She could come get it if she wanted. But I was hoping she wouldn't. Because some things don't need to be touched again. Some things deserve to rot exactly where they died. The silence was different now. It wasn't just quiet, it was something deeper. Permanent. Like the air had changed and decided to stay that way. No more footsteps padding through the hall. No more humming behind a bathroom door. No more half-empty coffee mugs left in every room like she was marking her territory. The house didn't echo. But I did. Even the sound of my spoon tapping the side of a bowl felt loud enough to wake the ghosts. And then one afternoon, an email came through. Not a call. Not a text. An actual email. Subject line, closure. It was from her personal Gmail account. Madison. Roberts 87. 5 lines. No greeting. I didn't mean for it to end this way. I never wanted to hurt you. I know you probably hate me. I just hope one day you'll understand. I was drowning. And Lucas threw me a rope. A rope. That's what she called it. Funny. From where I stood, it looked like she trampled me on her way out of the wreckage. She didn't reach for help. She climbed over me to get what she wanted. I didn't reply. What was there to say? That she didn't just break a promise. She wrecked the foundation we'd built everything on. That she weaponized my love, used my trust as camouflage for months of deceit. That she smiled at dinner with secrets behind her teeth. She didn't want closure. She wanted absolution. Forgiveness without doing the work. She wanted to feel okay about burning the house down if she said sorry while it was still smoking. That weekend, I boxed up the last of her things. Her old planner. The watercolor painting from our anniversary trip to Seattle. A dusty Polaroid camera she kept swearing she'd use more. And then there it was, in the back of the drawer. A ring box. The box I proposed with. Still there, tucked away like a memory she forgot to erase. I didn't throw it out. Couldn't. Not yet. I put it all in a bin and shoved it in the attic. Not because I wanted to keep it. Just because I didn't know what to do with it yet. That night, Ryan came over again. Brought a 6-pack and some awful takeout. We didn't talk much. Just sat watching one of those bad sci-fi movies we used to love in college. Halfway through he looked over and said, "You know, you didn't lose anything." She did. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But the truth? I wasn't there yet. Because even though I was angry, even though I felt betrayed, part of me still missed her laugh. The real one. The one she gave me when she forgot to be guarded. The kind that crinkled her nose and shook her shoulders. But then I'd remember how that same laugh turned mean. The way she brushed off my suspicions. How she made me feel like I was crazy. Paranoid. How she made me second-guess my gut so she could protect her lies. I married a woman I thought I knew. And now it felt like she'd been a stranger the whole time. Later that night, I stepped out onto the porch. Just stood there, staring up at the stars, thinking about all the nights we used to do that together. Her head on my shoulder. Her fingers laced through mine. Asking weird questions like, if we both die, do we get to haunt the same house? Turns out I was already haunting it alone. And maybe I had been for a long time, even before she left. 3 weeks after she walked out, she showed up again. No warning. No heads up. She just appeared on the front porch like nothing had changed. Like this was still her home. Like I hadn't spent every day since trying to scrub her out of it. She knocked twice. I didn't open the door at first. Just stood behind it, watching her through the peephole. Same leather jacket. Same half smile. Same tilted head like she was about to drop some clever line that would fix everything. Eventually, I cracked the door. Just a few inches. She looked me up and down. You look tired, she said. I didn't answer. She shifted, arms crossed, her eyes softening like she was gearing up to sell something. Can we talk? I asked her, about what? She exhaled like I was the difficult one. Like this whole thing had been inconvenient for her. Don't be like this, Drew. I'm just trying to be real. That line. Be real. As if the months of secrecy and gaslighting were just some warm-up act for her newfound honesty. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. We stood there in silence. Just staring. Then she said it. Lucas and I, it wasn't what you think. I gave her a look that basically said, try again. She rolled her eyes. It wasn't serious. It never was. I needed space. Something different. I didn't know how to ask for that without blowing everything up. So instead, I said, you lit a match and smiled while it burned? She looked away. Then turned the glance into a sigh. I made mistakes. But you made it easy to drift. You stopped being fun, Drew. Everything was just routine. You never surprised me anymore. I laughed. Couldn't help it. So you destroyed our life because I didn't plan enough picnics? Don't mock me, she snapped. And there it was, that sharp edge that always came out when she was caught. She stared down at her shoes. I thought maybe we could figure out a middle ground. Not go straight to divorce. Just space. But not enemies. I stared at her for a second. Then I asked the one question that had been floating in the air since the moment she knocked. Are you here because you miss me, or because he already got bored of you? She blinked hard. Didn't say a word. That was all I needed. I nodded toward the driveway. You should go. She opened her mouth, looked like she wanted to say something. Maybe beg for time. Maybe manipulate the ending. I said it again, louder. You should go. And this time, she left. No hugs. No dramatic exit. No tearful glances back. She just got in her car. Drove off. And for the first time since this whole mess started, I didn't feel devastated. I felt free. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. No alarm. No noise. Just awake. For weeks, I'd been moving like a zombie. Skipping meals. Dragging myself through the day. Falling asleep only to dream about a life that didn't exist anymore. But that morning, something felt different. Lighter. I got up. Brewed a pot of coffee. Didn't even check my phone. Just stood barefoot in the kitchen, letting the morning light spill in through the blinds. For the first time in nearly a year, there wasn't that tight knot in my chest. She was gone. And I didn't want her back. It wasn't some cinematic transformation. There was no thunderclap moment where everything made sense. It was just this quiet shift. A stillness that didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like mine. Later that day, I did something small, but important. I tackled the hall closet, the one full of junk we always said we'd organize someday. Half-burned candles, tangled chargers, random notebooks. I was about to toss one of them, an old leather journal of hers, when I stopped. Curiosity got the better of me. Inside were scattered thoughts. To-do lists. A few scribbled quotes she must have copied from Instagram. Most of it meant nothing. Until the last page. One line. I want to be loved without being known. That hit me hard. Because that was it. That was the core of everything. She didn't want to be seen. She wanted to be adored. Idolized. Projected onto. The second I asked for real depth, for honesty, for her to show me who she truly was, she ran. I spent years giving her everything. I built my life around a version of her that never really existed. She just liked the pedestal, not the connection. That night, Ryan invited me out. A few of the guys were meeting for drinks. Normally, I would have made up an excuse. Said I was tired or had work. But this time, I said yes. It felt weird at first. Not sad, just unfamiliar. But I wasn't pretending anymore. I wasn't performing happiness or trying to protect a crumbling marriage. I was just there. Being myself. One of the guys, Matt, brought his girlfriend. She had a friend with her. Sarah. We talked. Nothing heavy. No flirting. Just light conversation. Easy. When I got home, I didn't check for messages from Madison. Didn't wonder what she was doing. Didn't scroll through old photos or reread her texts. I was finally back in my own head, not orbiting around hers. Before I went to bed, I did one last thing. I went into the bedroom, my bedroom now, and took down the photo over the dresser. It was from our honeymoon in Big Sur. We were laughing, wrapped in one big scarf, pretending we weren't freezing our asses off. I looked at it for a while. Then I put it in a box and moved it to the garage. Not out of hate. Not out of bitterness. But because it didn't belong on the wall anymore. It's been 2 months. 64 days since she walked out with her suitcase and her lies. I used to think that day would mark the beginning of a long crawl through heartbreak. But now I think it was the day I got my life back. Sure, I still have moments. Triggers. A song on the radio. A couple holding hands at the park. A mug that somehow survived the purge and still shows up in the dishwasher. But those moments pass faster now. They don't wreck me the way they used to. They're memories. Not wounds. I think Lucas is still around. I heard from Nicole that Madison's living in some sublet across town. She said something like, she seems different. Like she got what she wanted, and doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because people like her, they trade stability for excitement. Loyalty for lust. But the thrill fades. Reality always catches up. And when it does, they don't stay. They run to the next clean slate. Me? I stayed. I sat in the middle of the mess she left and sifted through it piece by piece. I felt it. Faced it. Owned it. And that's the difference. I learned a lot. I learned that love doesn't mean turning a blind eye. That trusting someone doesn't mean silencing your instincts. That sometimes, the loneliest silence is exactly what you need to finally hear yourself again. I learned I'm not weak for falling apart. I'm human. And I learned that closure isn't something you get from someone else. It's something you choose. Last weekend, I took a solo road trip. Just me, a playlist, and a notebook I hadn't opened in years. I drove the same coastal route she and I once took together. But this time, it didn't haunt me. I stopped at a diner we used to love. Sat by the window. Ordered pancakes and black coffee. Watched the ocean. Then I opened my notebook and wrote 2 words. Still here. Not broken. Not bitter. Just here. Living. And if you're reading this, if you're in the thick of it, staring down a betrayal you never saw coming, let me tell you something. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not unlovable. You were loyal in a world that doesn't always value loyalty. And that makes you rare. If they couldn't see your worth, that's not your failure. That's their blindness. Let them go. Clean the house. Delete the photos. Reclaim your space. Your time. Your peace. Because sometimes, the worst day of your life is also the one that sets you free. Drew, 35M. Still healing. Still learning.